Now that you have a brief overview and a initial understanding of macOS, we need to change some of the settings on Finder to make it work better for us. Not only in the Mac lab, but just to make you more efficient. These are some tips and suggestions. If you have a Mac at home, I would suggest setting up in a very similar way to make Finder work better. So I have Finder open. You can see on the menu bar, upper left hand corner, it says Finder. I want a new Finder window. There's three ways to do that. I can move my mouse all the way down the bottom and I can click on the Finder app, which is the first one on the dock, and then a new window pops up. And I'm going to close that. I can also come under the menu and I can do File, New Finder Window, and it will pop up. Or I can do the shortcut key, which is Command N, and we get a new Finder window. Okay? Nice and easy, three ways to get a Finder window open. By default, Finder opens to recents. I don't find that very useful. I think for this particular class, it'd be really nice if Finder opened up to our Google Drive folder that we created in and we'll be saving our work in. So let's look. Let's go up to Finder. On the menu, we're going to click on the word Finder, and we want to go under Preferences. We're going to get Finder Preferences right here. Show these items on the desktop. Let's uncheck CDs, DVDs, and iPods. Our iMacs don't have CD or DVD players, and very rarely will we be having an iPod. You don't want your hard disk to pop up. Finder's your hard disk. The only thing I would leave checked is external disk. That way if you plug in an external hard drive or a thumb drive, it'll pop up and make it easy to get to. Next, new Finder window shows. I find recents just to be a waste of time. So instead of recents, I'm going to click on Other. And it's going to open up Finder like this. And you can either open up on Google Drive or open up directly on the folder where you're supposed to save your work. That's what I recommend doing. And I'm going to click Choose. Now, we can look at tags. We don't really use these, so we can skip that. We have Sidebar here. And there are some things missing from the sidebar. I like to have my home folder, right? This will have your name on it. I like to have my home folder on the sidebar just in case. We don't need to go back to my Mac or anything. Might want to have connected servers in case you have to connect to the server. Bonjour computers helps if you need to share something with somebody else. And then you can see if a CD or DVD, external disk or something like that is added. It's added on here. I think everything else, if you want to add pictures or movies or music, you can. I'm just going to leave it like this. We probably don't need iCloud Drive, so I can turn that off. Everything else looks pretty good. I'm going to come under Advanced. We might want to show a warning before changing extension. What do we got? Show warning before removing from iCloud Drive. We're not using iCloud. We don't need to worry about emptying trash. I would say remove items from the trash after 30 days. I also like to have my folders on top of my files. So I'm going to keep folders on top and sorting by Mac. I'm going to uncheck that. And then when performing a search, if you search the whole Mac, that's the whole computer for something, it gets kind of crazy. Better is to search the current folder that you have open, okay, for something. Once we have those settings, we can click the X, and you can see I've added my Tuts folder and stuff. Now if I close this window I had open, Command W to close window, window for W, Command W, and then I'm going to open a new Finder window, Command N, and you will notice now it's not going to recents, but instead if I look here in the upper top part of the Finder window, it's that folder where I need to save all my work. Cool, right? Makes it more efficient. Jump right to it. Next thing, let me go to, just to show you an example of how I want you to view your files that I think works best as a designer or just in general. In my downloads folder, I have 4 student artworks that I downloaded. Now you don't have these, so just bear with me. Pay attention to what I'm doing here. Couple tips. 1, if we have these view modes right here. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. by default, we are in like list mode or something like that. I don't know the proper term. Yeah, it's list mode. Okay, so this is icons, big icons. You can see it takes up a lot of space. List mode doesn't give us a lot of information. Cover flow is completely worthless trash. The best one, in my opinion, is columns view, and here's why. When I click on a file, in columns view, it will give me a preview, the file name, and information about that file. What type of file it is, how big it is, if it's an image, the dimensions, when I created it last opened. If I move my down arrow, I can cycle through the other files in this folder and it will change the information. I get a small preview here. There's something called Quick Look on a Mac. If I hit the spacebar, any file that is currently highlighted in Finder, spacebar will do a quick look zoom in. All right. Here's another trick. If I hold Shift and I'm going to click on the bottom one, it's going to highlight all 4 of these. And now I do Option spacebar, goes full screen and does a slideshow. And I can scroll through all of these pretty easily, and I can pause it. And then I could exit back out. So if you're trying to look through a bunch of pictures or artwork really quick, I find that super useful. So this view, in my opinion, the best view that we want. We can come up under view, and you can see there are shortcuts to go between them, but I find columns to be best. We can turn on show view options, and this will give us some other options like text size. How do we want to sort things? I like to sort by, most of you will be by name. I like to sort by kind, just so that similar items are grouped together. So I'm going to turn that to kind, and then you can arrange by kind also. So maybe arrange by kind and actually sort by name. That will work best. So when we arrange by kind, you can see now it'll say images right here. And if I had documents, then there'd be another like horizontal bar that says documents, and then they'd be in alphabetical order. All right, so we'll close that. Next, we need to open up something down here that we can't see at the bottom. So I'm going to go under view, and I want to show path bar. All right, now let me click on a file, and down here at the bottom, it shows the path to where that file is saved. Very useful to be able to see back to where you have things saved. And I can always double click to go to somewhere in that path. I'm going to go back to Google Drive, back to my folders. Next, I'm going to go view, and I want to show status bar. I don't know why this is turned off by default. Doesn't make much sense to me. If I go back to my downloads where I have files, it says that I have 4 items in this folder. All right, if I click on one, I have 1 of 4 files selected. And then this tells me how much space I have on the hard drive itself, how much space I have left. I'm going to close this out, open up a new Finder window, and then now you can see when you reopen it, it keeps those savings. We're in Google Drive, we're on that student folder right there, and we're in column view. And I find that to be the best, most efficient setup for working with Finder throughout this class and just in general.